Hey everybody, DM Jim here and welcome to the Tabletop Engineer. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a new type of dungeon tile. They don't require painting and they're very inexpensive. Now, how inexpensive? Well, I spent $13 and it makes me 60 4x4 tiles, which means you could spend the same amount, about $13, and if you want to make them 2x2, you'll get 240 of these tiles. Not kidding. $13, you can get 240 2x2s or about 60 4x4s. Let's get to the tabletop and I'll show you what I'm talking about. For this project, you're going to want to grab a bunch of 12-inch by 12-inch vinyl flooring tiles from your hardware store. They come with a piece of paper on the back that you just pull off, exposing an adhesive, and they are very sticky. What you're going to need to decide is, do you want to make 2x2 tiles, 3x3, 4x4? I chose 4x4, so I'm just using a square right here to make small marks on the adhesive side. Don't mark on the vinyl sticker side. Make your marks on the adhesive side and then use a very sharp blade to make 2 or 3 passes. Don't cut all the way through the tile. It can rip the vinyl sticker on the flip side. So cut on the adhesive side only, like I'm doing here, and then if you bend it, it will snap just like that, but the adhesive sticker on the other side will stay together. Now, if you fold it a couple times, you'll be able to create a line that you'll be able to take a sharp blade and just run it gently down. You don't have to press hard here. That sticker is very thin, and just a slight pass will separate the pieces like here. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut this piece up into 3 4-inch by 4-inch tiles. So once again, I just make my marks at the 4 and the 8-inch marks on both sides. And again, I'm going to use a blade to basically score them. Now, I will tell you this. On the smaller the piece you cut, you want to snap it very close to your score line. On the bigger piece, it's very forgiving. But on this kind of piece right here, see these score lines I'm making, you want to put your fingers on one side of the line and your other hand's fingers on the other side and then bend so it snaps cleanly on that line. Otherwise, you could break the tile in half, not on a score line. Now, once you've got that score line, like I said, just bend it a couple times and it'll create a little line that you can easily follow with your blade and just run that blade down and it will separate it into pieces. If you were going to do 2x2 tiles, you would just take these 4x4s and then make 2 additional crisscross lines and fold them again, cut them again, and you'd end up with a bunch of 2x2 tiles. Now, after you've got all your tiles cut into whatever size you want, flip them over to the adhesive side, and you're going to want to get your shelf liner, which is this rubbery material right here. Just roll out what you need. There's no need to cut a piece off. Just roll it out as you need, and then take the adhesive side and stick it down. And you're going to want to press down on these pretty hard to make sure the glue or the adhesive sticks really well to the rubber. Give yourself a gap just so you can bevel the cuts beneath, and then cut it away just as you're seeing here. And again, if you bevel these cuts, make the blade go towards the underside of the tile, they'll fit together much more nicely. So I'm finishing up these 4 tiles, and you can see it creates a little bit of a mess with all this extra rubber, but you just pitch that, and when you're done with all the tiles, they will butt up against one another with a very sharp edge, nice edge. And the rubber liner makes it so they don't slide easily. And then finally, take a Sharpie pen if you want to grid yours. I used a very fine point Sharpie to make the tick marks, and then I used a wide tip Sharpie to make the actual grid lines that I would use. And this, you can do this on wood, the vinyl flooring tiles that have a wood pattern, a marble pattern, whichever pattern you decide to do. I prefer non-gridded, but the grids look great. And that's it. This cabinet liner stuff, sorry it's torn, I don't know if you can see that. It is 18 inches by 5 feet. I'll include a photo at the end of the video that you can see all my tiles stuck onto the length of that. I average about 60. Now, I gave myself a good gap between them. I didn't stick them like right next to each other like that on the liner. I gave myself a gap. The reason for that is when you're cutting these, you want to take your blade, angle your blade so it cuts underneath and bevel. I don't know if you can see the bevel there. Bevel the rubber so that when they go up against each other, there's nothing sticking out. I learned this the hard way. About the first 10 ones I did, I didn't bevel them, and they're fine. They work fine. But if the rubber touches, it'll push apart just a hair. But if you bevel them, they'll sit perfectly flat like that. Now, again, you could grid these with a Sharpie, or maybe come up with your own method for creating a grid system on them, or do what I do and just leave them ungridded. Now, I did take one tile and I cut it up into some 2x2s. Okay, see that? I made 4 of those out of one tile. So basically, in one of the 4x4 tiles, you can get 4 of the 2x2s. Now, let me tell you what I did. I did this sort of assembly line style. What I did was I scored all 7 of the large pieces. They were 12x12. I scored all of them first, this way and this way, creating 9 squares. Okay, 9 4x4 squares. Then, after that was done, I snapped one at a time, and used my blade and used the fold. When you snap it, the vinyl, the sticker, is actually going to hold the pieces together like that. But if you angle it and you just take your blade and just carefully put it there and just pull it, use a sharp blade. You don't have to press hard. This is just a thin sheet of vinyl, and it just separates so easy. So okay. I did about 60 of these. Now, after I broke them, then I went over and I stuck them on the floor. I just rolled out the liner and I just stuck them down. And then in like groups of 9 or 10, I sliced off a section of the liner, would bring it over to my work table, and then cut up a bunch. Now, let's see if I can do this. 1, that's not all. Hold on. And 2 of them broke. I've got about 60 tiles here, and I did all of this in under an hour. That's including the scoring, breaking, sticking, then cutting the pieces out individually. I got these 2 big stacks of tiles. This is the dark ones. Remember, I've also got lighter. You can tell the difference there. Lighter. I have wood grain. Okay. Again, you don't have to grid these, but if you do, let me show you what I did. Obviously I gridded one of these as an example, but for the wood grain, I used a Sharpie, and I made the floorboards and then put 2 dots to give a nail. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it looks good. The wood grain carries through, so if you look close enough, you realize that this whole piece is supposed to be one piece of wood, so you're dividing it up into sections. But on a table from about, 2 feet away, it looks great. I'm very pleased with it. So I did find the wood grain. I think these were 93 cents per sheet. The marble ones were 83 and 83. And again, it took me under an hour to make about 60 of these things. So if time is of essence to you and you don't have time to cut foam and paint foam and sponge paint the foam, go get some of this vinyl tile that's already got a texture on it. Pick the color or style you like. Score them, crack them, cut them apart, stick them onto this liner, and you've got these instant tiles. They're flat. They don't appear to be warping. I know the liner lies flat, but the vinyl's not twisting in any way, and when I stick them down, they do lay flat. So anyway, I hope you like this. My take on the dungeon tile. Now, one thing you're probably noticing, where are the walls? I have not tackled walls yet. I have a couple methods that I'm testing right now. It doesn't make sense to me to to try to make an inexpensive dungeon tile, but then add an expensive wall option. So I'm still experimenting with some inexpensive ways to add walls, like corners, straight walls, corridors, that kind of thing. Those will come in a future video. So anyway, my take on the dungeon tiles, I really hope you like these. I'm really, really so pleased with how they turned out. I was in the hardware store looking at actual marble to see how thin I could get it and how small I could get it. And I was just walking down one of the aisles. I spotted this. I didn't realize what it was. And when I realized it was vinyl, I asked one of the attendants how easy it was to cut it. He said, score it on the back, crack it, knife, and there you go. fast, inexpensive. I'll include a photo at the end of the video of my receipt. You'll see that the liner was less than $6 and 7 sheets of this at 83 cents or whatever. I spent less than $15 and now I have 60, actually a little bit more than 60 tiles. If you've got a favorite DM out there and you want to give them a good Christmas gift or just a thank you gift for being a DM, $15, you can give them a stack of these dungeon tiles really cheap, really fast. Took me an hour. That said, if you want to make these 2x2, remember, 4 tiles per a 4x4. So it's going to take you 4 times as long. It took me an hour to make these 60 4x4s. So figure less than 4 hours to make a bunch of 2x2s. And if these were all cut into 2x2s, I'd have 240 of them. Something to think about. All right, well, listen, until the next video, this is DM Jim. I hope you like this. Go make some. Share me some photos. Let me know what your experience is with them. And I'll be back next week with another video. Take care.